Hello everyone! My next report for our audio and video presentation is a topic regarding organizational change and stress management. Our first item is describe forces that act as stimulants to change. In a dynamic and constantly changing world of business, organization, learning to accept and adjust is a must for individuals and organizations. Such changes have factors or forces that act stimulants to change, such as the following. Changing nature of the workforce. The nature or culture is particularly important when attempting to change organizational-wide change. We are coming to realize that despite the best laid plans, change must include not only changing structures and processes, but also changing the corporate culture as well. An effective organizational culture aligns with the business strategy to ensure that the company meets its long-term goals. Corporate culture has a major impact on employee morale and productivity. It is not about just being a good employer, but about having employees committed to the vision and strategy of the organization, and possessing the will and the means to make this a reality. Our next factor or force that acts stimulants to change is the technology. The substitution of computer control for direct supervisions, resulting in a wider span of control for managers and flatter organization, is the fastest in impact called the technology. Many jobs are being reshaped because of this. Our third factor is so-called economic shocks or economic problems. Within the country, the organization is operating in other countries. It has links to may lead to need to the change our strategy. The fourth is competition. Global economy means that competitors are likely to come across different borders. An organization needs to change to be able to survive with the new competition knocking at its doors. Development of new product or improvement on existing ones may aid in this aspect. The second last factor or force that acts stimulants to change is the social trends. It is that the attitude towards something. Major examples are attitude towards smoking, popularity of products, for example, sports utility vehicles. This also includes all trending social occasions in the networking sites or online activities such as media events and other online factors affecting organizational attitudes. Finally, the last among our list of factors or forces that act as stimulants to change is world politics. Examples of these world politics are the following. The opening of markets in China leads to new potential customers to global organizations. The second one is black rule in South Africa caused restructuring of organizations to be able to accommodate all races in equitable proportions. Right after we have enumerated the different factors or forces that act as stimulants, our second task is to summarize the sources of individual and organizational resistance to change. Organizational culture and structure change is inevitable due to constant change in technology, customer and markets, social and political pressure, as well as demographic characteristics. Resistance to change is an emotional and behavioral response by affected employee to actual or imagined threats to an established work routine. Organizations must manage change and subsequent resistance to survive. There may be reasons for resistance to change for analytical purpose. Let us categorize the causes into the following sources. First is the individual resistance. Second is the group resistance. Third is the organizational resistance. First, we will discuss about the individual resistance. Individual resistance arises due to differing perceptions, personalities, and needs. Some of these reasons appear to be rational and emotional. These reasons are enumerated as economic factors, psychological factors, and social factors. The second sources of individual and organizational resistance to change is the group resistance. While working in an organization, the employee form informal group in the organization. The most organizational change has impact in informal group in the organization. Breaking up a close-knit work group or changing relationship can provoke a great deal of resistance. The main reason why the groups resist change is that the fear that their cohesiveness or existence is threatened by it. This is particularly true in the case of groups which are very cohesive, where people have a strong case of belongingness, and where members consider the group as superior to other groups. The third is the organizational resistance. Organizational resistance means that the change is resisted at the level of the organizational level itself. Some organizations are so designed that they resist new ideas. This is specifically true in case of organizations which are conservative in nature. Government agencies want to continue doing what they have been doing for a number of years, even though there is need for the change in their services. Majority of the business firms are also resistant to changes. The major reasons for organizational resistance are threat to power, group inertia, organizational structure, threat to specialization, resource constraints, and sunk cost. Change is not always perceived or received positively. Whether change is planned or forced upon an organization, companies must adapt to maintain or remain viable. Those that successfully enlist employees in the change not only profit in the short term, but in the long term as well. For the need for change is constant as organizations evolve and age. Overcoming employee resistance to change then is a management ability needed for both everyday operation and is very important in times of crisis. Our third item is describe Lewin's three-step change model. Kurt Lewin's three-phase change management model is a fantastic change model for understanding the basic concepts of a straightforward change management process. We've got three of them. First is unfreeze. Second is transition. Third is freeze. Let us discuss the three-step channel or change model. First is unfreeze. Unfreeze, the first concept of straightforward change management process, is unfreeze, reducing the forces that are striving to maintain the status quo and dismantling the current mindset. Uneasily presenting a provocative problem or event to get people to recognize the need for change and research for new solutions. Second concept of straightforward change management process is the transition. Transition is developing new behaviors, values, and attitudes, sometimes thorough organization structure and process changes and developmental techniques. There may be a period of some confusion as we move from the old ways doing things to the new. The third is freeze. This concept of straightforward change management process is the final stage of crystallizing and the adaptation of ownership of the new as is. The organization may revert to former ways of doing things at this point unless the changes are reinforced through freezing. The model represents a very simple and practical model for understanding the change process. For Lewin, the process of change entails creating the perception that the change is needed, then moving toward to a new desired level of behavior, and finally, solidifying the new behavior as the norm. The model is still widely used and serves as the basis for many modern change tools. Kurt Lewin's model suggests that the best way to motivate people to change is to first get people to see the need for change. People generally need to see for themselves the need for the change, for the catalyst to occur, to provoke them to unfreeze. Educating employees in regards to pressure for change is the first step. From the leaders can begin to highlight gaps between the current and desired states and present a vision as it needs to be. Then further begin to convey the change in terms of specific outcomes. The existing system needs to be broken down before the new way of operating can be installed. During transition, we aim to shift or alter the behavior of individual departments or organizations in which the changes are taking place. People are at this stage looking for a new and better ways to do things. The behavior may initially be mechanically, but they are starting to perform and behave in ways that support the new direction. This process is lengthy and almost certainly won't happen in a few days. It will take time for the people to feel comfortable and act the way that they are supporting the change. When they see that the changes are benefiting them, they will begin to take ownership and then start to act in the way that they are supporting the initiative for change. In this process, have supporting the initiative for change. In this process, have time and plenty of communication. People need time and think things in thorough communication. They will feel more involved and connected in the process. When the people, structure, and strategy are looking well in its time to lock things in, we act here to make sure that the improvements stick, and this is the freezing phase. We continue here until the changes become the way we do things around here. In summary, Kurt Lewin model demonstrates that the move on organization from point A to point B, first we should create compelling and motivating reason to change. Then implement and install the necessary changes to the way we wish to things to be. Then aim to stabilize the cooperation at a better and higher level of performance. The model works whether the changes are strategic and incremental or reactive or anticipatory change. There are many strategies for managing change in the workforce or workplace. The Kurt Lewin 3-step provides us an outline that assists us to visualize, plan, and manage the stages of change. The fourth one is explain the values underlying most organizational development or OD efforts. Organization development is deliberately planned, organization-wide effort to increase an organization's effectiveness and or efficiency and are able to organization to achieve a strategic goals. Its multiplicity of definition reflects the complexity of the discipline and is responsible for its lack of understanding. OD or organizational development interventions are about change, so involve people, but OD also develops processes, systems, and structures. The primary purpose of OD is to develop the organization, not to train or develop the staff. Underlying organizational development are humanistic in values, providing opportunities for people to function as human beings rather than as resources in the productive process, providing opportunities for our organization member as well as for the organization itself to develop to their full potential. Seeking to increase the effectiveness of the organization in terms of all its goals, attempting to create an environment in which it is possible to find exciting and challenging work, providing opportunities for people and organization to influence the way in which they relate to work, the organization, and the environment. Treating each human being as a person with a complex set of needs, all of which are important to their work and their life. Our fifth item is to contrast continuous improvement processes and process re-engineering. In a complex system, relations dominate and primarily determine the success of the system. The relationship between continuous process improvement and business process re-engineering has been a heavily debated topic for some time. However, these two approaches are very similar because each aims for process improvement. They only differ in focus. Processes and systems have parts that perform the work of the system. Based on system theory, changes its objectives. And based on system theory, changes in a system's relations often represent the largest potential for improvement because of the relations provide the structure in which the system functions. Re-engineering is the fundamental thinking and radical design of business processes to achieve dramatic improvements in critical, contemporary measure of performance, such as cost, quality, service and speed. And to achieve such drastic improvements, a focus on relations is necessary because according to the system, theory relations primarily determine system performance. Thus, business process re-engineering focuses on the system relations. On the other hand, continuous process improvement seeks incremental improvements that are not drastic. According to Masaki Imai in Kaizen, the key to Japan's competitive success is individual parts of process or system. Based on the premise that continuous process improvement and business process re-engineering are both forms of process improvements that differ only in their focus, there are models and prescriptions for improvement initiatives at the end of this article. Our number 6 item is identify properties of innovative organizations. The first property of innovative organization is the unique and relevant strategy. Unique and relevant strategy is one of the most defining characteristics of a truly innovative company. And having a unique and relevant strategy, an innovative smaller player may not be recognized globally, but its players or leaders, employees, business partners, and customers all will have clear idea of the company's strategy. If a business does not have definable, unique strategy, it will not be innovative. If your strategy is vague or fails to differentiate your company from competition, you should change this situation as quickly as possible. Our second innovation is means to achieve strategic goals. How high and innovative companies see things? No ending, but rather as means to achieving strategic goals. Just as a good camera is an essential tool that enables the photographer to take professional changes or images, and the saw is an essential tool for the carpenter. Innovation is an essential tool for visionary companies intent on achieving their strategic goals. Indeed, if you look at the websites of the world's most innovative companies, they tend to not trumpet innovation, but rather corporate vision. The third innovators are the leaders. Innovators are leaders. Market leaders is one of the characteristics that innovation provides. When companies use innovation to achieve strategic goals, they inevitably take the lead in their markets. Unfortunately, this does not always translate to being the most successful or profitable. However, the company was never very successful financially and went out of business. On the other hand, innovators like Apple and Google have been financially successful as a result in their innovation. In short, innovators are leaders but not always profitable leaders. Our fourth is innovator implement. Most business and employees have creative ideas. Some of these are relevant to companies and its needs. However, innovators implement ideas. Less innovative companies talk more about ideas implementing them. Failure is an option. Celebrate failure. The most critical element of business culture for an innovative company is giving employees freedom and encouragement to fail. If employees know that they can fail without endangering their careers, they are more willing to take on risky, innovative projects than offer huge potential rewards to their companies. On the other hand, if employees believe that being part of the failed projects will have professional consequences, they will avoid risk, enhance innovation like the plug. However, in business, where failure is not option, employees will often stick with failing projects, investing ever more resources in hopes that the project will eventually succeed. When it does not, losses are greater and reputations are ruined. As a result, companies that reward in failure often fail less than those that discourage it. Environment of trust. The innovative company provides its employees with an environment of trust. There is a lot of risk involved in innovation. Highly creative ideas often initially sound stupid. Creating an environment with a supportive atmosphere. If employees fear ridicule for sharing outrageous ideas, they will not share such ideas. Likewise, if employees fear reprimand for participating in unsuccessful projects, they will not participate. If employees do not trust each other, they will be watching their backs at all times. If they fear managers will steal their ideas and claim them as well their own, employees will not share ideas. On the other hand, if employees know they can take reasonable risks without fear, if they know outrageous ideas are welcome, if they know that their managers will champion their ideas and credit them for those ideas, these employees can be creative, implement ideas, and drive the company's innovation. In short, creativity and innovation drive them when people in an organization trust each other and their organization. The autonomy. Along with trust, individual and team autonomy is a key component of innovation. If you give individuals and team clear goals together, with the freedom to find their own paths for achieving these goals, you create fertile ground for innovation. But if managers watch over their subordinates' shoulders, micromanaging their every move, you suppress the creativity and individual thought that is necessary for innovation. Of course, giving employees autonomy means they make their mistakes. They may choose inefficient routines or roads to achieving goals. But at worst, they will learn how or from their mistakes and efficiencies. At best, they will discover new and better ways of accomplishing objectives. Most importantly, if you hire intelligent, capable, creative people and give them the freedom to solve problems, they will do so. And in so doing, they will help innovation to thrive throughout the company or organization. List of characteristics or learning organization. If we thrive or if we survive individually or as company or as a country, we must create traditional of learning. Every company must be a learning company. Again, I'll repeat. If we are to survive individually or as a company or as a country, we must create a traditional of learning. Every company must be a learning company. Learning organization defines to give a clear understanding of elements and steps organizations need to follow in order to become a learning organization. There are many different approaches to describe the characteristics of learning organization. Organization must untice 11 characteristics in order to diagnose techniques and instruments of process of managing, directing, learning, and participating. These are the following. 1 is a learning approach to strategy. 2nd is participate policy making. Third is information. Fourth is formative accounting and control. Fifth is internal change. Sixth is reward flexibility. Seven is renabling structure. Eight is boundary worker as environmental scanner. 9 is intercompany learning. 10 is learning. 11 is self-development opportunities for all. The goal of learning organization is to generate continuous change and self-transformation. Our 8 items is describe potential sources of stress. Stress is body's method of reaching to challenge. Stress typically is described as a negative condition that can have an impact on person's mental or physical well-being. Work-related stress is a growing problem around the world that affects not only the health and well-being of employees, but also the production or productivity of organizations. Work-related stress arises where work demands of various types of combinations exceeds the person's capacity and capability to cope. All the following issues have been identified as potential stressors at workplaces. A risk management approach will identify which one exists in your own workplace and what causes them. They include organizational culture, bad management practices, job content and demands, physical work environment, relationship at work, challenge management or change management, lack of support, role conflict, and last is trauma. The following may be seen to be potential sources of stress. One is environmental factors. Environmental uncertainty influences stress levels among employees in an organization. The following stress levels are change in the business cycle, create economic uncertainties. Second is political uncertainties can be stress-inducing. Technological uncertainty can cause stress because new innovations can make an employee's skills and experience obsolete in a very short period of time. Environmental factors are forces outside the organization, which may act as potential sources of stress due to uncertainties and threats that they create for any organization and its members. Factors within the organization can also act as potential source of stress. Together or singly, they may cause a tense and volatile working environment which can cause stress for organizational members because the inability of individuals to handle the pressures arising out of these sources. Our second factor is the organizational factors. Organizational factors pressures to avoid errors or complete tasks in a limited time period. Work overload, a demanding and insensitive boss, unpleasant co-workers are a few examples. Task demands are factors related to person's job. They include the design of individual's job, autonomy, task variety, degree of automation, working conditions, and the physical work layout. Role demands relate to pressures that are functions of the role an individual plays in an organization. We now describe one stress-related factors which affects individuals' productivity, which is work-related factors, as our main example. I know everyone can relate with our example. What are the main work-related stressors? All the following issues have been identified as potential stressors at workplaces. A risk management approach will definitely or identify which ones exist in your own workplace and what causes them. They include organization culture, bad management practices, job content and demands, physical work environment, relationships at work, change management, lack of support, role conflict, and trauma. Causes of work-related stress are some of these factors that commonly cause work-related stress include long hours, heavy workload, changes within organization or tight deadlines, changes to duties, job insecurity, lack of autonomy, boring work, insufficient skills for the job, over-supervision, inadequate working environment, lack of proper resources, lack of equipment, few promotional opportunities, harassment, discrimination, poor relationship with colleagues or bosses, crisis incidents such as an armed holdup or workplace death. Let us see how this stress can self-help for the individual. A person suffering from work-related stress can help themselves in a number of ways, including think about the changes you need to make at work in order to reduce your stress levels and then take action. Some changes you can manage yourself, while others will need the cooperation of others. Talk over your concerns with your employer or human resources manager. Make sure you are well organized. List your tasks in order of priority. Schedule the most difficult tasks of each day for times when you are fresh, such as first thing in the morning. Take care of yourself. Eat a healthy diet and exercise regularly. Consider the benefits of regular relaxation. You could try meditation or yoga. Make sure you have enough free time to yourself every week. Make sure you have enough free time to yourself every week. Don't take out your stress on loved ones. Instead, tell them about your work problems and ask their support and suggestions. That is most important. Drugs such as alcohol and tobacco won't alleviate stress and can cause additional health problems. So let's avoid it. Avoid excessive drinking and smoking. Seek professional counseling from psychologists. If work-related stress continues to be a problem, despite your efforts, you may need to consider another job or a career change. Seek advice from a career counselor or psychologist. Here are the benefits of preventing stress in the workplace. Reduce symptoms of poor mental and psychological health. Fewer injuries, less illness and lost time. Reduce sick leave usage, absences and staff turnover. Increase productivity. Greater job satisfaction. Increase work engagement. Reduce cost to the employer. Improve employee health and community well-being. Work-related stress is a management issue. It is important for employers to recognize work-related stress as a significant health and safety issue. A company can and should take steps to ensure that employees are not subjected to unnecessary stress, including ensures a safe working environment, make sure that the environment or everyone is properly trained for the job, destigmatize work-related stress by openly recognizing it as a genuine problem, discuss issues and grievances with employees, and take appropriate action when possible. Devise a stress management policy in consultation with the employees. Encourage an environment where employees have more say over their duties, promotional prospects, and safety. Organize to have a human resource manager. Cut down on the need for overtime by reorganizing duties or employing extra staff. Take into account the personal lives of employees and recognize that the demands of home will sometimes clash with the demands of work. Seek advice from health professionals if necessary. Here is where we can get a help. Consult your doctor. Refer to psychologists. In-depth conversation with your manager. Raise your issue to your human resources manager at your workplace. Or you may contact some work cover advisory service. Our last item is explain individual difference variables that moderate the stress outcome relationship. Long before job stress and psychological factors became household expressions, there were reports that psychological stress was increasingly apparent in the workplace. Technological change and increasing psychological demands to the workplace were listed as contributing factors. One of the demands in the workplace included urgent problems requiring priority attention. All workers, employee disability cases claims that it was due to job stress or psychological term gradual mental stress at work. These developments were understandable considering the demands of modern work. The impact of the modern in the terms of lost productivity, disease and reduced quality of life is undoubtedly formidable. Studies found that time pressure and other emotional and personal life stressor, financial or family effects. It shows that certain conditions lead to stress at work and associated with health and problems. These conditions, which are commonly referred to as psychological factors, include aspects of the job and work environment such as organizational climate or culture, work roles, interpersonal relationship at work, and the design and content of tasks. It is conceptualized in terms of the job and the person. According to an important international labor organization, or ILO, in 1975 resolution, work should not only respect workers' lives and health and leave them free time for rest and leisure, but also allow them to serve society and achieve self-fulfillment by developing their personal capabilities. Some of these principles were also set down which provided the following general guidelines for job design. The job should be reasonably demanding in terms other than sheer endurance and provide at least a minimum of variety. The worker should be able to learn on the job and go on learning. The job should comprise some area of decision making that the individual can call his or her own. There should be some degree of social support and recognition in the workplace. The worker should be able to relate what he or she does or produces to social life. The worker should feel the job leads to some sort of desirable in the future. Work has been accepted as a duty and a necessity for most adults. Works and workplaces have been designed almost exclusively with reference to criteria or efficiency and cost. Technological and capital resources have been accepted as the imperative determinants of the optimum nature of jobs and work systems. Changes have been motivated largely by aspirations to unlimited economic growth. The judgment of the optimum designs of jobs and choice of work objectives has resided almost wholly with managers and technologies, with only slight intrusions from collective bargaining and protective legislations. Other societal institutions have taken on forms that serve as to sustain the type of work system. Study shows that the variable for a successful business company must go hand in hand with its relationship and treatment to its employees or workers. The relationship variable on how an individual affects the productivity of the organization as a whole. Here are some of our reminders before we close our topics for tonight. Some of many causes of work-related stress include long hours, heavy workload, job insecurity, and conflicts with co-workers or bosses. Symptoms include a drop in work performance, depression, anxiety, and sleeping difficulties. It is important for employers to recognize work-related stress as a significant health and safety issue. A company can and should take steps to ensure that employees are not subjected to unnecessary stress. That is all for tonight, and I hope I was able to discuss and emphasize our topics regarding organizational change and stress management. Lastly, I would like to thank all of you who tuned and who patiently relates to our discussion for my Week 11 and 18 final requirements for our MBA 101 Management and Organization Behavior Requirements. I would like to thank our MBA professor, Ms. Mevelyn Kabutahe. Once again, Good evening and good night.